Okay, good morning. It's 2nd of August 2010. We'll be doing rocket 503 doing an SC4 and SC5. Our sim time starts at 12 o'clock. Admin for conversions is the same as it is for reattacks. Okay, for TAC admin, our call sign today will be shooter 1-1. Setups will be 0 to 45 target aspect, 30 nautical miles, 8 to 24,000 foot block. Jinx for target aspects 23 and greater, Jinx will be from 10 to 8 miles. For target aspects 23 and greater, Jinx will be from 8 to 6 miles. For target aspects 22 and less, Jinx will occur from 10 to 8 nautical miles. Not to cause a change in direction of pass and not to exceed 50 target aspect. Our weapons loadout today will be 0 Fox 3s, 2 Fox 1s, and 2 Fox 2s. The rules for conversions: max cuts 90 and buster. The bogey bearing must be on the scope no later than 20 nautical miles. Reconversion stop inside of 14 nautical miles, and the primary goal today is a successful attack and reattack. Any questions on TAC admin? Okay, for the tactical conduct, I'm going to begin by going over a game plan. Today I'll be using the double the difference game plan. For an area 1, will be a cut into greater than collision until we have a change in direction of pass, and then increase target aspect and lateral separation on the opposite side. Once I reach enough lateral separation, I'll turn to a 0 cut and then lead to attack heading. For area 2, will be a 60 cut. For area 2, will be a cut away, taking 2 times a change in lateral separation until I reach enough lat sep, turn to a 0 cut, and then lead to attack heading. For an area 3, I'm maintaining lateral separation and increasing target aspect. We'll turn to a 0 cut and then lead to attack heading. For area 4, be a cut into greater than collision, so 2 times a change in lateral separation applied to a 0 cut, and then lead to attack heading. I have 3 caveats for today's game plan. If my goal target aspect is within plus or minus 3 degrees of my starting target aspect, I will use a hard turn direct to collision heading, and I do not need to do any lateral separation calculations. If goal target aspect is less than or equal to 15, then I'm going to lead to attack heading. I don't need to do any lat sep calculations, except for an area 3, in which case I'll do 1 lat sep calculation to ensure I'm in fact in an area 3. If the change in lateral separation is greater than 45,000 feet, then the cut will be a 90 and a buster. Any questions on the game plan? Alright, so initially at 30 nautical miles, we'll ensure that our radar is set up, and then called turn in, tapes on, fights on. At that point, Grit Rock will give the bogey turn and our initial bra call. So in this case, bogey right, 180, fighter left. Grit Rock, single group bra, 023, 29, medium. At that point, I'll do my target aspect analysis. I have 23 right for 69,000 feet on the right, and my instructor will give me my goal. In this case, the goal is 10 right, which puts me in an area 4. The change in lateral separation is greater than 45,000 feet. So the steady heading will be 090, and I'll buster at set 0.6. Because my steady heading is prior to bogey bearing, I will ease to a standard. In the event that I have turned through the bogey bearing, I'll increase to a hardest pause. So the spill will be ease to a standard, steady, 090, buster, set 0.6. At this point, since the bogey bearing is not on the scope, I'll make sure that my radar is slewed into the direction of turn and biased to the block that Grit Rock is calling. I will continue, since it's an area 4, it's a target aspect problem, so I don't need to do any lateral separation calculations. No later than 24 nautical miles, I'm going to begin my turn to bring the bogey bearing on the scope. The bogey bearing must be on the scope by 20 nautical miles. Once the bogey bearing is on the scope, I'll begin my search increments, and then when the contact shows up, if he's where I expect him to be, I'll immediately take a lock, do target aspect analysis, move the jet in accordance with my game plan if I need to, and then make a bra call to Grit Rock for a declaration. Also ensure that I have aim 7 selected. For areas 1 and 2, and then 1 calculation for area 3, I'll be using the lateral separation gates. So at 10 nautical miles, I know that I need my target aspect will be equal to my lateral separation. So in this case, for example, if my goal was 30 right, I would need 30,000 feet of lateral separation at 10 miles. So at 20 miles, I need half of that, so I'll need 15 target aspect at 20, and then I will subtract 3 at 25 miles, so in that case I'll need 12 target aspect, and I'll add 2 at 18 nautical miles, so I'd need 27 target aspect. Once I reach my lateral separation, I will turn to a 0 cut. From there, I'll be leading to attack heading. I know that target aspect drifts 1 degree for every 20 degrees of turn. So in this case, I have, for example, if I have 30 degrees of turn, then I will lead my target aspect by 2 degrees. So when I have 12 right target aspect, I will lead to attack heading of 020. Outside of 20 nautical miles, I will use a standard turn. From 20 to 16 nautical miles, I'll use a hard turn, and inside 16 nautical miles, I'll use a hardest pause turn. In the case that I need to do a reconversion, my reconversion game plan will put me into one of these 5 areas. It's important to note the only way to decrease target aspect is a cut into greater than collision, and the only way to increase lateral separation is a cutaway. I will do a reconversion anytime my current cut will not reach my goal and I'm outside of 14 nautical miles. If I need to increase lateral separation, I will take a cut away, so I will turn in the same direction as drift and put the bogey at approximately 40 angle off. Once I reach enough lateral separation or my lead target aspect, I can turn back to a 0 cut or to attack heading. If I need to change the direction of drift and move the bogey across collision bearing, I'm going to turn 10 degrees for every 1 degree off of my goal target aspect. I will turn in the direction of drift to move them across collision bearing, not to exceed the limits of the scope, and the steady heading will be calculated for my attack heading. For example, if my goal target aspect was 30 and on a 0 cut and I already have 33 right target aspect, I'll turn right hard 70 to put them on the opposite side of collision bearing. I'll then wait for the bogey to drift to the lead to attack heading and then turn back to my attack heading. From my reconversions, I'll ensure that once again that by 20 nautical miles the bogey bearing is on the scope. At 18 nautical miles, if I don't have radar contact, I will go to AZ full and a 20-mile scope. At 15 nautical miles, I can climb based on altitude analysis. Every 1 degree equals 1,500 feet, or 3 consecutive calls from grit rock. At 14 nautical miles, reconversions stop. Inside of 14 nautical miles, I can make 5 legal turns. I can turn to attack heading, lead, a 0 cut, collision, or to keep the bogey bearing on the scope. At 14 or 12 nautical miles, the timeline splits. In today's example, we'll be using the timeline on the left. I'll do target aspect analysis and then begin my lead turn game plan. If I'm taking a drifting bogey to lead, once again, the target aspect is going to drift 1 degree for every 20 degrees of turn, and I will take that target aspect to lead. For example, if we currently had 17 right target aspect and it was going to drift 2 degrees, I'll take what rounds to 15 right to lead. At 12 nautical miles, I'll execute my lead turn and then develop my displacement turn game plan. At 10 nautical miles, if I don't have radar contact, I'll select ACM swivel. At 10 nautical miles, I'll begin my displacement turn and counter turn. Once I have 1 degree of outward drift, I'll begin my standard counter turn and then looking to see if the counter turn is hot or cold. The counter turn can be hot if I under displace late, if I still have my buster in, or if the bogey has jinked. I can have a cold counter turn if I have early displaced, over displaced, or if the bogey has jinked. One of the primary ways I'm going to recognize a jink is the buster. I'm going to take my buster out anytime I'm at attack, lead, 0 cut, collision, or if I'm assured of reaching my goal. So my game plan today, if I'm doing my lead turn game plan, I'm going to ensure that my buster is out. For jinks, I'll recognize jinks by rate of closure, range rate of closure, target aspect, vector, and drift. For the rate of closure, I expect my rate of closure to be 600 minus my target aspect at lead, in which case I'll use that to recognize my if I still have a buster in. At displacement, it should drop 10% and be between 500 and 550. So for a jink into, my rate of closure will stagnate or increase, my target aspect vector will stagnate, my range rate of closure will increase, and the drift will stagnate. For a jink away, the rate of closure will drop off rapidly, the range rate of closure will slow, the target aspect vector will swing out more rapidly, and the drift will increase. In the case of the jink, once I recognize it, then I'm going to immediately pull 30 degrees of lead from where I'm already at on the drift curve, so from 30 degrees hot, or if I had a jink into, move the contact 30 degrees cold, not to exceed the limits of the scope. Then I'm going to begin looking for my rate of closure gates of 500 at 5, 450 at 4, 400 at 3, and 300 on the nose at 2 nautical miles with 90 degrees to go. As I'm approaching one of those rate of closure gates, I'm looking to intercept it, and I'll run the next drift curve. So for example, if I hit 500 at 5 at 50 angle off, I'll begin running a constant angle off drift curve. At 5 nautical miles, I'll make sure I'm giving continuous arrow calls so the pilot can gain the tally. And altitude analysis every 1 degree is 500 feet. Once again, I'll be looking for 500 knots rate of closure. By 2 nautical miles, the bogey should be on the nose with 90 degrees to go and 300 knots rate of closure. Between 1.5 miles and a half mile, I can pass the dot for a valid AIM-9. If I don't have a declaration, then I will VID at this time. Be shooter 1-1, VID, flanker, declare. At that point, Grit Rock should come back with a hostile declaration. I'll ensure that I've met all my AIM-9 shot parameters and then pass the dot. Inside half a mile, I'll experience a break X. In this case, I'll put the bogey in 40 degrees of lag. If I no longer have opening V sub C, then I will bring the bogey to the opposite side. I'm looking for the break X to go away, or approximately 0.6 nautical miles, and I'll bring the bogey back hard as pause towards the nose, and then ease to hard to ensure AIM-9 shot parameters. Any questions on TAC conduct? Contingencies. For a no or late show, we'll continue running the intercept using AIC information, ensuring that we are on a 20-mile scale and AZ full by 18 nautical miles and ACM slowable by 10 nautical miles. A late show is anytime the contact shows up inside of reconversion stopping. At this point, I'll immediately take a lock, do target aspect analysis, and intercept my timeline. For a bad or break lock are indicated by erroneous rate of closure, range rate of closure, target aspect vector, or hollow diamond. In which case, I will break the lock, reacquire, and then take and then enter single target track again. If I have another break lock, I'll begin troubleshooting. I can first change my channel. If I'm having, if the contact isn't showing up, or if he's showing up and then unable to take a lock. For co-channel interference, I can change my notch setting if we're having a hard time acquiring. And then if I have a fault on the radar during the run, if I'm getting good radar information, I will continue the run. If I'm not, I will run a bit. I will clear all faults between the runs, and if we have to, we'll power down the radar in between the runs. For lost contact, I'll immediately confess lost contact and continue running my intercept using AIC information. In a hot overshoot today, I will turn to bring the bogey bearing within, I will turn to the last known bogey heading, call lost contact to Grit Rock, and then put the bogey bearing within 20 degrees of the nose until I reacquire with ACM slowable. Target aspects greater than 47 cannot be taken to lead. I'll continue to reconvert. Target aspects greater than 49 cannot be converted, and will execute cold 100 procedures. In the event of an auto range failure, we'll go full action on the trigger, manually range down, and then full action again to enter single target track. I will not go to situational awareness mode for have a missile in the air or inside 10 nautical miles. Questions on contingencies? Okay, to recap today, we are Rocket 503, and I will be doing my SC4, and so Ramadi will be doing his SC5. We are shooter 1-1. We have 0 Fox 3s, 2 Fox 1s, and 2 Fox 2s. I usually talk about the buster up here with the lead turn game plan, but if you forget it, talk about it somewhere else. And I was speaking very fast, sorry.